Rinse and repeat, the power of systems. List the property, get the tenant, sign the lease, give the keys. Now you know what to do. All right. It's important to have systems that way you have a nice predictable process. And this is where having a process kicks in, right? We notice that once the unit is totally ready and livable, it's time to start renting to people. Once the cleaning crew is done, it's time to list the property for rent. Check the current rental rates in Zillow, OfferUp, or Facebook Marketplace to determine the fair market value, right? Post the photos from the professional photographer, show the property, have a new tenant sign a lease and give you the first month's rent. If you're doing the move in fee, then that's when you put in the move in fee with the first month's rent, have them give you the confirmation number of the electric utility company when the account is transferred into their name. Once the electricity is now in their name, that's when you give them the key. You do not give them the keys to the apartment until the utilities are in their name. Okay, so we sign the lease, they then transfer the utilities over to their name. Once the utilities are in their name, you then give them the keys. Do not forget, okay, don't forget to make sure they put the electric and gas utilities in their name. I cannot stress this enough because according to the Landlord Tenant Act, you're not allowed to turn off the utilities once they've moved in. So to protect yourself, you give them the keys after they transfer their account into their name. Management wise, okay, have a system of communication. For me, texting was the best thing ever. Unless there was an emergency, most of the times they can get a hold of me through text. This is the part where it's passive income, where you've set up a system for them to communicate with you or you respond back. Ideally, if it's not an emergency, most of the times texts are fine. Okay, rent payments. So when you send the invoice for the next month's rent, you can send at least a day before it's due. So for instance, if you're collecting rents on the 1st, you can set up the invoice for the 30th, so the 31st. A lot of times, if some tenants just really want to get the money out of their account, they'll get a hold of you. Until they get a hold of you, you just kind of stick to your routine and send your invoice a day before rent is due or 2 days before rent is due. You don't want to send it too early, because if you do, it's going to get lost in their email, and they'll have to dig around, and then you might have to create a new invoice. So, uh, systems are about repetition. Okay, it's about being predictable. So now that you know what to do, is that you have a process, right? You can change the locks, clean, list, show prospective tenant, sign the tenant, collect the rent, collect an electrical bill confirmation number, give new tenant the keys. Once a month, send an invoice out to collect reoccurring monthly rent. Then when the lease expires on last month's rent, collect the move out fee and the last month's rent. Walk the lot to validate the condition of the apartment and collect the keys. Change the locks and start over to the beginning. And you can see where it's like, boom, all of a sudden you take it and you go round and round and round. And being predictable is good. Knowing what's coming next is what makes this a solid passive income stream where you don't have to get a second job to make money every single month. So that's why it's important to eventually create a system. That's why we want a low maintenance, right? We don't want the dishwashers if we can rent at a good market value without a dishwasher. We don't want ice makers or water dispensers or disposals because having a system where it's nice and repeatable is what makes it passive income. And that's why I invest money in putting in granite countertops and cabinets and good faucets and good materials because the higher quality materials that you put in the unit, the less maintenance going to be for you. And the less maintenance is the more powerful your system is going to be, the more powerful your income stream is going to be because it's going to be solid, predictable income. So that is the reason why we have to build a rinse and repeat system for you to do this long term so you don't get burnt out and you enjoy yourself. All right, guys, that's why systems are important.